Aatrox is a dark type. I mean, he's literally a Darkin, so I think that seems pretty conclusive. Ahri is a psychic fairy type. She can levitate her orb, she has some generally fairy-esque aesthetics and powers. Akali is a dark fighting type. Her shroud lends to her being a dark type, and her leaving the Kinku to fight on her own, and also just having like a generally scrappier fighting style kind of shows that she's a fighting type. Alistair is a normal type. He is a cow. Amumu is a ghost fairy type. He's a mummy, so he's got the whole undead thing going on, so he gets ghost, and he's got some generally magical powers, so I think ghost fairy fits pretty well. Anivia. Ice flying. Annie. Fire type. Aphelios. Ghost? Maybe fairy because Moonblast is a thing? Ashe is ice normal type. She's got a magic ice bow, but she is also just a guy. Aurelion Sol is a dragon fairy type. He's obviously a fucking dragon, but he's also got like the whole cosmic otherworldly thing going on. I've been thinking recently about my personal moral beliefs and where they stem from. I've always been a huge advocate for the idea of being the bigger person. You know, you turning the other cheek and not retaliating when someone hurts you. But recently I've been kind of evaluating the value of revenge. Are there scenarios where it's morally correct to seek revenge against those that have hurt you? Obviously the whole justice system is based on the idea of making things right, but the victim usually isn't the one to place the punishment onto the criminal. When I say revenge, I mean someone calls you a racial slur and you punch them in the face. I don't think punching them is a bad thing because they obviously deserved it, but is it the best thing to do? I don't know, and it's not my place to decide that. I mean, look at me. I think there's a weird discrepancy in what some people deserve and what's the right thing for you to do. For example, somebody calls you a racial slur, and even though they deserve to get their shit rocked, you don't believe in violence. So you decide to just not engage with them, or you just call them a fucking moron as you pass by. Meanwhile, I think revenge is totally agreeable in cases of societal harm. For instance, Black Lives Matter. If the black community just decided to be the bigger person, nothing would ever be done to improve the lives of struggling black people. All the racist white billionaires wouldn't be like, oh, the black people are being really mature about the whole discrimination thing. Let's give them a break, boys. Some things are worth fighting for. I think that consistently trying to be the bigger person in all scenarios is kind of a show of cowardice and an aversion to conflict masked under like a facade of maturity. Additionally, retaliating in all circumstances is immaturity. I think true maturity is being able to gauge whether or not something is worth fighting for. Bard is a fairy normal type. He's a cosmic deity. Deity? I don't fucking know. But he's also just a guy. Just a fucking dude. And I'm in love with him. Blitzcrank. Steel Electric. Brand. Braum is steel and ice. His shield is made of steel and ice. He's the love of my life. Moving on. Caitlyn is literally just a woman with a gun. And a hat. Normal. Camille is a mono steel type. She's a robot lady. You can do the math. Cassiopeia is a poison type. She poisons you. Cho'Gath is a dark bug type. I think all void creatures kind of give me dark type vibes, but he's kind of like a nightmarish bug thing. I think it works. Corki is a flying steel type. He's a little guy in a plane. Darius is just a guy with an axe. Normal type. Diana is a fairy type because Moonblast is a move. Mundo is a normal poison type. He's kind of just a guy, but he's also purple and has those syringe things, so I think this works. Draven is just a guy with multiple axes. Normal fighting, I guess, because he's also a pit fighter. Echo is a psychic type. I couldn't really figure out what time travel best associates with, so I just went for the cop-out magic-y one. Elise is a dark bug type. She is scary. She is a bug. Evelyn is a dark type. She is scary. She's hot. I'm conflicted. Ezreal is just a guy. Just a guy with a weird glove. Normal psychic. Fiddlesticks is a ghost grass type. He's a spooky demon. And he's a scarecrow. Fiora is a lady with a sword. Normal type. Fizz is a bastard! He's a rat! Fuck you! Water fairy. I think I'm falling in love, and obviously that's a great thing. but I don't really know how to feel about it. I'm honestly really scared. The last time this happened, I ended up getting hurt really badly, and I don't want that to happen again. Although this feels different from all of my last relationships, so maybe it'll work out better this time. Why do we enter relationships knowing that they may one day end, leaving us alone? I suppose we do everything in life knowing that we will one day die. If everything ends, why even begin? Is it really better to have loved and lost than to have never loved at all? I'm really not sure. I don't think we should just never do anything in life because of the inevitability of death. That's like when you have a dentist appointment at 3 and you just don't do anything for the entire day, because what if your league match at 10 a.m. goes for 8 hours and then you're late? Aversion to loss is the thing that keeps us alive, yet it pulls us away from the things that make life worth living. Is love in itself worth the risk of losing it? I'm honestly not sure if I can answer that question. I've loved people in the past, but I don't know if it was genuine. Maybe I weigh love too heavily in my mind. The concept is far too romanticized for me. It's the end-all be-all of affection between two people that are meant to be together. Maybe it's just liking someone a lot. I don't know. I guess I'll find out. With Galio, a hulking mass of metal man with glorious wings. Steel flying. Gangplank is a pirate with a fire sword. That's fucking sick. Water fire. Garen is a normal type because he's the most default fucker in the entire game. Gnar would be a rock normal type. Normal because he's Yordle, but rock because I think he would technically be a fossil Pokemon. So yeah, he gets rock. Gragas is literally just an alcoholic. Normal poison. Graves is a guy with a gun. Normal type. Gwen is a ghost steel type. She's a doll brought to life from the Ruination, and she has a big pair of scissors. Hecarim is a ghost normal type. He's a ghost horse. Heimerdinger is electric normal. Engineer Yordle guy. Alawi is a water fighting type. She has the blessing of Nagake Boros, hence the tentacle shit and the water type, and she will cave your skull in with little effort, hence the fighting type. Irelia is steel fairy. Her blades follow her dancing, and that's how she fights, so steel for the blades, fairy for the dancing. Ivern is a grass fairy type, and is also my husband. Janna is a flying type. Wind. Jarvan is a dude with a spear. A flag? What is that? Normal type. Jax is a firefighting type. He fights, and he's got a lamp. Isn't it weird how many things just seem normal and acceptable to you when you're a kid? In 8th and 9th grade, I had a friend that I would later find out was a horrible, twisted person. Looking back on him, holy shit, yeah, how did I not realize it sooner? Little content warning here. If you're sensitive to gore, similar body or similar gross bodily stuff, you shouldn't watch any further. He was actively into porn involving vomit and gore. If you don't know how gore porn works, well, this is normal sex, right? Gore porn is like, yeah. This wasn't something he kept to himself either. He talked about how he drew commissions for people of this sort of content and how much he loved it. Additionally, he later got into true crime. He especially had a fascination with the Columbine massacre. This fascination grew to an obsession. Not with the event or circumstances around it, but with the killers. Specifically, Dylan Klebold. He would post fan cams and cute Tumblr edits of this literal child murderer. He fell in love with this monster that he had never met before. It didn't end there. He reached out to the grandmother of Dylan, posing as a journalist, forming a personal connection with her and pulling as much information as he could from the poor woman as possible, asking for photos of him as a child, asking about what he was like growing up. He later assaulted many of my friends and tried to get others to kill themselves. So how did I not see this coming? Was I stupid? Well, yeah, a little, but more than that, I was a kid. I wanted to avoid conflict. I convinced myself that this behavior was normal. Sure, some of the stuff is kind of weird, but isn't everybody a little bit strange? No, not like that at least. I didn't want to go through losing a friend, though. Not to go into too much detail, but a couple years prior, I had lost two close friends of mine and grew extremely sensitive towards the idea of loss. So I decided to turn the other cheek to these obvious red flags.
Malphite is a rock type.